So welcome everyone to today's session with Dr. Lakisha Brinson. Today we are learning from intention to execution. She will go over some strategies designed for students, aspiring leaders, professionals looking to strengthen their leadership skills, improve accountability, and turn ideas into measurable results. So for those who aren't familiar with Women Accelerators, my name is Nicole Boyson. I'm the current Women Accelerators president. We are a nonprofit based in Lowell, Massachusetts, but have quite a large virtual audience. And we are centered around advancement for women in the workplace and allies, as well as quite a large student body present as well. We do take volunteers. So if anyone is interested, please shoot us a message, womenaccelerators@gmail.com. You can also browse our events and upcoming programs on our website. Our next one will be in person in Lowell on June 30th. So please register for that if you are able to attend. But with that, I'd like to turn it over to Lakisha. She had a wonderful presentation prepared for us, and I will let her introduce herself and her many accomplishments.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicole and Susu, who's on the call. So, y'all, quick story. I had the privilege of volunteering myself with the Women Accelerator, even though I'm not in Massachusetts. I was a virtual volunteer, and I got the opportunity to work with many groups, so peer mentoring groups and things like that. And it was a wonderful experience. So, anyone who wants to tag in and volunteer, it is low pressure. The team is really cool. So that's something for you to check into. So again, welcome. My name is Lakisha Brinson-Thomas, and I am the Director of Instructional Technology for a large urban school district in Nashville, Tennessee. So I know many of us on the call today are actual women who are in leadership and business positions right now. So our attempt today is really to gather around as a collective unit and really think about tips and strategies that can help us move from intention to execution. So you're going to hear me say that quite a few times today, moving from intention to execution. To set us up a little bit, why this matters to me, I've been in this industry and education for over 20 years now, over 20 years. And throughout that time, I've had the opportunity to lead in different capacities. The two that I'll talk about most recently is I was a director of library services. That was over 140 direct reports, y'all, 140. And that was in collaboration with the school principal and then myself. And then now I have the opportunity to lead a team of 12 with 4 executive leaders as direct reports and then 8 who report to one of my reports. So what does that mean? A lot of things that we say and are tasked with can be just an intention. One of the things that I pride myself and our team on is really getting out of that space of just saying and moving. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And give me a second. I'm going to share my screen and then we're going to jump right in. And Nicole's kind of just going to be our eyes for me. So if something's not working or if I don't see a hand, Nicole will be the one to share that with me. So I am the owner of Learning to Lead, which is just a consulting firm that really deals with moving people again from intention to execution. We know that many leaders in our jobs today, we know what needs to be done. I envision that that's you as well on this call. The challenge that we have is consistent follow through. Today, I want to share with you a framework. I consider it a pretty simple but practical framework that helps us move from intention to execution, that really helps us move from our ideas, what we say we want to do, into actual action. Okay, so first, I have a question for you all. So think about this. How many of us have ever said, I'm going to do it, right? I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to start cooking every night. I'm going to start doing intermittent fasting so I can lose weight. Type yes or an emoji in the chat if you've ever said, hey, I'm going to do this thing. Yes or an emoji in the chat. Right? That's most of us, even if we didn't put it in chat, most of us have probably said we're going to do X, Y, and Z and didn't follow through. A lot of that, the reality is life, and right? Life just happens, and that becomes maybe an excuse or something that we don't consistently do. That causes our ideas or our thoughts to get stuck. So today we're going to talk about how to kind of get unstuck. I know that leadership is demanding, especially if you're in a corporate 9 to 5, or even if you're on this call and you're an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is very demanding. That's why accountability matters. So again, we're moving from intention to execution. Whenever you hear me say that, it's okay for you to type in chat as well. And when you hear me start saying we're moving from what, you can say intention to execution in the chat. We are going to use the chat a couple of times today. So if you're on your phone or on your computer, you'll be able to be engaged with me as well. As I just shared, most people don't struggle with ideas, right? We don't struggle with the ideas. We struggle with the consistent execution. That's this thing called the accountability gap, right? There are some reasons that execution is not just personal, it becomes professional. Think about these areas when we think about visibility, okay? That's follow through, credibility, doing what we say we're going to do, and then really modeling what we're going to say. As leaders, that's, I dare say, one of the most important pieces is that we're modeling what we say we're going to do. This is an overview of the slot of the framework, but we're going to go into each step, each component step by step. So I'm going to give you a second. I know some people like screenshots, all that fun stuff, but now at the end, I'm going to give you a site, PayHip, where you're able to go and actually print out a copy of the framework for your own resource. So as I get ready to dive into this framework, I do have a question that I want to pose with you. Okay. Think about this question. This is going to help you as we journey through our time together today. Where in your leadership or life do you need stronger follow through? I'll say that again. Where in your leadership or life do you need consistent follow through? Think about that, because we're going to do something with that as we go through our session today. So the framework is simple by design. We know that if we complicate things, it usually doesn't get done. So the first two areas of the account framework are A, announce the goal, and C, clarify the outcome. So we know that without clarity removes hesitation. When I'm clear about something, there's a book and an author who says, I think it's Kendra Scott, maybe somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Kind is clear. That's what she says. Kind is clear. And that just, or clear is kind, actually, is what she says. Clear is kind. The more clear we can be about a task or an outcome, the more receptive people are to gathering that. So the first letter of the account framework is A, which means announce the goal. We're simply going to say and state what our goal is. The key to this is clarity. We're going to move from general goals of, hey, I want to grow my business, to a clearer goal, meaning I will submit 3 partnership proposals by Friday. If you've ever struggled with making your goals clear, go ahead and drop yes in chat. If you've ever struggled with unclear goals, type yes in chat. Even looking at these goals here, I move from general to clearer. I can also make this even more clear. And the way I could do that is by giving a time frame. What time on Friday? Not just Friday. I'm going to complete it by Friday at 7 p.m. Clarity is key, right? The next part, we have to clarify our outcome. What does that mean? That means we have to really think through, vision out. For us who love to write our journal or put it in our notebooks, we actually write out what exactly needs to be done. So think about those action steps, all right? Well, I'm actually saying one of my recommendations when I'm thinking through and sharing with others about being accountable is set it small, no more than three. Three is my magic number for most things in life. So, three action steps that I need to complete said goal. Another thing we have to do is really think about success. We know that Simon Sinek says, begin with the end in mind. So, what does this look like? What does said goal look like at the end? Making sure that I have a clear understanding of what I want to accomplish at the end. And of course, we also want to make sure that we are knowing what our firm deadline is. What is that non negotiable time that you're going to complete X, Y, and Z? I had a mentor who gave me a trick, and I love this trick. And the trick was that in my calendar, I always schedule things a week before it's due. And then I always do 2 days before that due date just to give me some wiggle room. My deadline stays the deadline, right? But I'm in my calendar, I'm telling myself that it's due a week before and then giving myself reminders 2 days before to make sure I actually achieve that goal. The next thing I want us to key into a part of the account framework, the second C is calendar it. Okay. What gets scheduled gets done, right? You hear that a lot, but that is fact. Our calendar doesn't need to be optional. If we don't schedule something, then it more than likely becomes optional. On this note, one of the things that's really important is think about your system. If you're a digital person, if you live by your phone, then making sure that you have an app on your phone that really reminds you when X, Y, and Z is done. If you are a writer and you need that physical calendar, sitting down, jotting that down on your physical calendar. A trick is it doesn't have to be either or. My favorite saying is both and. That is me all the way. I use both formats. One, because I just like writing, and then having that physical check mark. But then also my calendar, it lets me do things like those reminders. So think about the system that works for you. One of the things I would say also in thinking through calendar and the work, there's an app that many people talk about, and it just escaped me. It is not Todoist is what it's called. Todoist. So if you really love note taking, if you look up Todoist, which is an app, it also allows you to put things in order. And that has an AI feature where it'll give you some sort of motivation if you get things done. So to give you virtual rewards and things like that. So think about that in terms of how you're going to calendar your work. All right, you all, I need your help now. So in chat, I want you to type schedule. If there's something that you need to be doing this week that's important that you need to calendar it. Go ahead and type schedule in the chat. Better yet, I don't mind you multitasking. You can make sure you're pulling up that calendar now and writing out whatever that task is. Anything you need to schedule, write schedule in the chat, and then go ahead and own that and write it on your calendar. That moves us into the next piece of the account framework, which is the O. Own your commitment. Own what you said you were going to do. I want to be honest here. This can be tricky, especially when you're dealing with larger organizations. I'm going to be transparent here and use my own team as an example. So I stated earlier, I have a team of 12. And the good news is we've really built this culture of collaboration, right? Working with one another, really building trust, and are not afraid to say the hard things to each other. The tricky part of that comes in that we love to do everything together, right? Research says that ownership drives execution. Those who are also in the business world, you've probably heard of this acronym called RACI. And what it says is that in project management world, that you have R, which means responsible, someone who's responsible for a task. You have A, the person who's accountable for the task. You have C, the person who you just consult with. And then you have I, person that you are informing about the work, right? What's critical about that framework are the two letters, the R and the A. The R, which means responsible, that's one person. Only one person in that project management example is responsible. That means that's the person who carries out the work. So for you, when you're owning, you're responsible. Although you may have a team of people, you may have a business partner, you may have your employees who are under you. There are some things that you have direct responsibility over. And that's amazing because, again, responsibility, ownership drives execution. Then that second letter, that A, that person who's accountable, again, only one person is accountable in said task. That's the person who carries out the work that's required to do that said thing. All right. So, although community is important, I'm a big believer in community, share energy, momentum. When we're ready, when we're thinking about getting work done, moving from intention to execution, we have to take personal ownership of our task. All right, you all. We are going to move into the next portion of our account framework. So we're looking at the U and the N. So when we think about you, think about I mentioned earlier how a part of my work with Women's Accelerator was to help facilitate these peer mentoring groups where individuals will come together, women in business, college will come together and talk about goals and things that they were doing on their 9 to 5. That is a portion of updating people. One of the things that I believe strongly in is having accountability partners that can work along this journey with you. I want you to think of anybody in your life right now that you would consider an accountability partner, someone that you can go to and update and let them know what's going on in your life or what goals you've set. If you have that person in mind, I want you to drop account in the chat. Go ahead and drop the word account in chat. Most times in our life, the best thing to do is to be able to update someone about your progress. This is different from asking permission, you all. This is sharing with someone, hey, I said I was going to do this. This is where I'm at in that process, right? What does that do? It provides structure. It also provides accountability. And it also makes us more likely to get the task done. I've given this example before in another call I was in. I had committed previously to posting on my LinkedIn account twice a week, right? I said that out loud in a setting with other business entrepreneurs. An individual from that group, that community, called me out, and I mean in the most respectful way possible, and just said, "Hey, you said you're going to post on Mondays and Wednesdays. I only saw a post on Monday, right?" So what did that do? That made me think, oh man, I need to get on it, right? And know that someone's in my corner, someone's really listening to me and holding me accountable. So thank you all for making sure that you have that person in mind. That's going to come up again in a second. The next thing I want to talk about is the end, when we have to notice our progress. I used to have a hard time with this. To me, that was almost bragging or not just celebrating. I felt it as a brag, right? That I'm telling about all the things that I'm doing or things that I'm accomplishing, right? But people don't know what you don't share. That's why social media is such a draw for people today. People want to know what's going on in each other's lives, whether it's messy or not. A lot of businesses generate profit and revenue because they're visible. They're updating all the things they're doing. But to do that in the background, they're taking note of all of their wins. Not just wins, but things that they need to complete to make things better. Progress, right, doesn't just mean it doesn't mean it's perfected. It doesn't mean it's perfection. It just means that I'm looking and I'm taking a step back and I'm saying, oh, this week I committed to networking with 3 people. Oh, I only got 2 people that I got to interact with. So Either I'm going to change that goal for the upcoming week, or I'm going to still pat myself on the back and be like, oh man, that was great. I got two. Now let me think about what's next, right? If I don't know what's going on, then I don't know how to modify and correct. One of the things that's helpful for me with this is really picking a day of the week. For me, it's Sunday. Sunday is my day just to relax, to really sit down and think through all the goals that I've set for the week and then write down those action steps. It also gives me the opportunity to pivot when I need to pivot. All right, you all, we are rounding up to our last letter in the account framework, and that is T. T means that we have to tweak the plan. And that's similar to what I just said when I talked about how we have to notice all the things that's going on, the progress that we've made, right? When we tweak the plan, that helps us adjust our goalposts, figure out where we need to go next. That doesn't have to mean small increments. I mean, huge increments. Actually, is better if we make small adjustments along the way. There's a quote that small and mighty wins the race, right? Small and mighty wins the race. On the right-hand side, you're going to see a quote that I'm just going to read out loud because it really hit me when I was thinking about it. It says, a plan that is adjusted is still a lie, right? A plan that is abandoned is not. So as long as I'm adjusting, as long as I'm making those small, targeted moves to make things better, then that plan is still alive. When I stop, when I'm not executing, that's when things go awry. All right, you all, we are about to take a moment and we are actually going to put this into practice. So it's your turn. We're about to apply this account framework into an actual goal that you have going on in your personal or business life. So this is the way we're going to do this. I want you can write it out. Preferably you'll write it out. So it'll be a live recording of what you said you were going to do. Is I want you to think in these kind of areas. My goal is I'm going to complete it by the scheduled time is, and then who I'm going to update. I like to put this in another kind of format. And the format is called say, schedule, execute, measure. And I'll drop that in chat in a second. I'll say that again. It's say. So what am I announcing? That's the A, right? What am I announcing? What am I saying I'm going to do? Schedule. That's that whole part of the calendar and owning the work, right? Calendar and owning the work. Execute. That's getting said task done. I'm going to do this. And then measure is how do I know I'm successful, right? How do I know that I'm successful? The measure and the execute come in with my accountability person. Who am I sharing with? So you all, I'm going to come off a screen share and in chat, I'm going to write that model again of say, schedule, and actually let me do this now. It is say, schedule, execute, and measure. That's the framework. You should have in your mind now that goal that you're going to do. This is what I'm going to ask you to do. In chat, I am going to drop in some various links for you. And these links go directly to my social media, 3 different spaces where you can interact. Because we want to move from intention to execution, I'm going to give you time now. I'm going to give you about 2 minutes. I want you to pick a platform, my personal LinkedIn, my business LinkedIn or Facebook. And then I want you to drop down. I want you to put in chat. And actually, I forgot one thing. Let me give you a sentence stem. This is an optional stem. You can use whatever you want. So on our intention to execution. So on one of those platforms, I want you to go there now. I just dropped it in chat. On one of those platforms, I want you to pick a sentence stem. It can be one that I gave you or your own. And I want you to write this topic. During our call, I was inspired to, or during our call, I'm going to commit to. Go ahead and do that now. I'm going to give you about a minute or two to do that. Then we're going to move into a portion of our time today that we're going to call collective wisdom. So that means you're going to get to come off mute and share some things with us in just a moment. So I'm going to give you about another minute. Go ahead and go to one of those platforms. Write down a recap, something you're inspired to do because of this call, or something that you're going to commit to. You also may get some ideas here in a minute when we get to that collective wisdom. So if you want to just make sure you remember those prompts and you want to go back in just a minute, then that's okay as well. But I'm going to give about 30 more seconds, and then we're going to move into what we're going to call our collective wisdom portion. As we're finishing up with that portion, this is something that really just kind of resonates with me, and things that I've experienced and saw over my journey as in direct leadership. Leaders are really not people who have this special talent. They're not the most talented, right? Or successful leaders. It's usually those who consistently move and execute. Those who are committed to a task, they say what they're going to do. They know how to pivot. They own their mistakes. They tweak along the way. They calendar, hence the framework of account. I'm going to challenge you throughout the next week, throughout the next month, to really think in terms of the leaders that you see around you and yourself, and think about the skills, traits that come up that are successful for you that really coincide with that account framework. All right, you all, we're going to move into one of my favorite portions of whenever I get to talk to people, and that's really just to hear from you. So you get to come off mute. I know I'm going to have some brave souls to come off mute. If you're not in a space where you can come off mute and you just want to chat responses, that's okay as well. So now we're moving into, again, that collective wisdom part. So I want to go back quickly to this account framework. I'm going to show you the screen really quickly. I'm going to go back to the beginning. I want you to think through, and you're going to come off mute and share this with me, share it with your colleagues as well and friends. Looking at all of these letters here, which one have you been most successful with? For example, I always write my goals down. I always know where I'm going. Or I always calendar my work, right? That is something that I do well. This is the trick, the caveat to this though. I want you to tell us the strategy or the tip that works for you to make sure that you're moving from intention to execution. For example, if you say that you see calendar the work works well for you, you're really successful with that area, I want you to come off mute and tell me how. How do you execute that in your day-to-day, week-to-week? Do you have a digital calendar? Do you have a physical calendar? Do you make sure that you sit down on Sundays and write everything out? Okay, I'm going to give you a minute. I'm going to leave that up on screen. And then I'm going to be looking for hands, virtual hands. If you're not sure how to raise your hand, in the bottom, you'll see little tags and it'll have a hand raised, or you can just raise your hand on screen and then someone's going to share. So I'm looking for hands now. You all, I'm going to have to hide this for a second so I can see your beautiful faces. All right, let's see who's going to be brave enough to go ahead and show me ways, tell me ways that they execute. All right, I have Trinessa. Trinessa, take it away.
Good morning. A great presentation. Good, great, great, great. But mine would be the calendar. I'm still kind of old school, so I write everything down. But one of the things that helped me when I write it down, I still have the old pencil ink pen that has the red, the blue, and the green on it, and each
Yeah.
one's something different. But if I write it on red, I know it's something I absolutely have to get done on that day. If it's black, then I know, okay, I can push it if I don't get it. But so that's what helps me. I just document and I write everything down, but I don't wait until like a certain day or time. I keep it and I write it down as I think about it, because if I don't, then I lose that thought.
I love it. Thank you for sharing, you all. That is a strategy that you can implement on your own. The red, green, yellow. I love that she mentioned that for her, it works better if she's able to do it now, do it right away. That is a prime example of executing right away. Y'all show Trinessa some love in chat. Also, keep chatting up ways that you use these strategies. All right, Laura. Laura, take it away.
I bless everyone. I'm at work.
Hold on, Laura. I think I hear a little bit of, I think you may be cutting out on me. Can you try again?
Hello, everyone. How's that? Is that better?
Yes, but I do hear a little bit of background.
Hello?
So maybe turn down your TV a little bit and then take it away.
I'm in the cafeteria, actually. Um, can you hear me now?
Yep, take it away. Thanks for joining.
Okay. All right. What helps me, first of all, I'm most a little pad that I walk around and I put things down as they come to me and ideas and I write them down. Right, nicer than them running it. So that's how I manage what I need to do. Like, the kids back then, you thought you did, like, oh, she would do a grid, which we went in a class at stars. I give
Yep.
myself a little star sticker once I make that.
I love that. Laura says she pats herself on the back. She gives herself stars when she accomplishes something. Y'all is no better motivator than ourselves. Y'all show Laura some love in chat. Great job, Laura. Another thing, just for some of us, is just marking through. For me, I get a thrill when I'm able to mark something off my list. All right, you all, don't be shy. Give me some more ways some strategies that our other colleagues and friends on this call can use. What works well for you? How do you notice progress? How do you update others? How do you own commitments? Okay, give you a couple more minutes in chat, I have people who are saying that they calendar. They make appointments with themselves. Yep, amazing idea there. That's something I wouldn't have thought about. Someone else said they struggle with calendaring, but that's what they're going to be working on. All right, you all. Thank you for sharing. One of the things that I will take time to, yeah, Sissy just said, or Laura first said that they're Laura needs to start setting alarms. Y'all, something I shared a while ago with someone is that I was somewhere, I don't even know where I was, and someone talked about how alarms do something with your brain. It almost tricks you into believing you have more time, right? So when we set like 3 snoozes, I was guilty. I used to have a snooze for everything. When I kept hitting snooze, it made me think that I had more time. right? So I have cut out snoozing, y'all, and it gave me back time in my day to day. So, Laura, I'm with you, but don't snooze when you set those alarms. Amani, I think you said you need an accountability partner. I know someone from the WA team will also shout out some ways that you can connect with this community. Also, you all have to share about, and I know someone from Coach K, that's a team that I'm affiliated with, who does a lot of work with businesses, entrepreneurs, grants, things like that. She has a whole group also set aside to accountability partners and really thinking through that in your business, your personal entrepreneur business. So someone will drop that link in. That's another avenue that you can look into to those accountability partners along with WA. All right. Also, someone from Zoom said they need to be more consistent with calendaring. I'm with you all for that. You also, as we close up our time together, I'm gonna give about 3 minutes for any direct questions that you may have for me, and then I'm gonna quickly point you to one site where you can find resources. So, any hands? Anyone who has a direct question about the framework, or something that applies to the framework, or just how to get in touch with me or anything like that, I'll wait for just a moment. Then we'll transition into how I'm going to show you a site you can go to get more resources. And I'm going to stop sharing and look at your faces. All right. And I see Nicole dropping things in chat too about how to get connected with WA. All right, you all. I am going to share one site with you, and I'll put it on screen. So you have my personal business and my Facebook page. Remember, your task is to go on and share something that you learned from the call, or something that you're committing to working on. I'm going to share my screen. And let me actually drop this in chat first. So this is just a marketplace where I have a free resource for you. And this is actually a printout here of the account framework, so you can just download that free. I also have some other resources if you are wanting to move from intention to execution that you can check out. Also, in the coming month or months, I'm working to move to a school community where you're able to connect with other business leaders and other entrepreneurs, other people who are just wanting like-minded people who want to move from intention to execution. So be on the lookout for that. The best way for now to stay in touch is to join me at one of these places. I'm on Instagram. My tag is accountable with Dr. L. There I try to drop weekly tips or strategies, things that are practical, things that are really happening to me in my world on a day-to-day. So that's a lot of really leadership scenarios that you can glean from. And then also LinkedIn, my personal page, Lakisha Brinson-Thomas, or my business page, which is Learning to Lead. And all of those are also in chat. So you all, thank you for your time today. As we close, continue to be thinking about that goal that you're going to commit to. I want you to think about how you can move on that goal, not next month, not someday, not eventually, but how you can take action. Thank you for your time. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Nicole and Susu.
Thank you so much, Lakisha. That was so incredibly helpful, and I certainly hope to implement the account method in my day-to-day life. Yes, there was a question. That last slide she showed is that PayHip link. So do take a look at that. There is a free download on that account framework so that you guys can get started on your own accountability journeys. So for those who are still hanging on with us, definitely do check out the Women Accelerators website, as well as Lakisha's different downloads available. So thank you all again. And if anyone is interested in joining the team, do please send us a message at womanaccelerators@gmail.com. And thank you and enjoy the rest of your Wednesdays.
All right. Thanks, all.
Thanks, everyone.